So I was unbelievably bored one night, and I decided to scroll Reddit, as you do, looking at various things, and I came across this post on the Battlefield 2042 subreddit entitled, "Despite all the work DICE will have put into this game by the time its support comes to an end, it will still sit as the worst Battlefield game." And unfortunately, this person, in my opinion, is actually 100% correct. And for the people listening to this video, don't treat it as sort of a full-on I hate Battlefield 2042 video, because that is not what it's supposed to be. Try to treat it as a general discussion of just this game and what it really is when you take a step back and look at it. Because unfortunately, I do think a lot of people have been fooled or brainwashed, whatever word you want to use, into thinking that Battlefield 2042 is actually a good game now, just because, they added a few shiny charms and some weapons from previous Battlefield games into the game. And this happens pretty much every single Battlefield. But ultimately, not even the people that are fooled by Battlefield 2042 matter, because the people that would be playing Battlefield right now are not playing Battlefield, and they outnumber pretty much all of us that are still playing this game right now. I don't know, probably 8-1, 9-1. Before I get into the video further, I just want to thank you guys so much for hitting 47,000 subscribers. Very, very close to 50,000 subs, something that I never thought I would actually be able to say. I definitely have some very special things on the way for 50,000. And of course, if you like the video, if you enjoy the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So, why did this person on Reddit think that this game will always be the worst Battlefield, even after all the work DICE has put in? His post reads as follows: "I find it to be an unfortunate side effect of this game being the highest echelon of EA's lack of care and only caring about the money. Every single aspect of this game will reflect that, from the cheap feel of the presentation to the insane neutering of Battlefield as a game identity. Even with DICE doing everything it can to right the ship and continue to improve the game, it will never reach the highs of what Battlefield is supposed to be. And this game will forever be the black sheep of the franchise. And while that may be insane to say, as we haven't gotten a hint of the next Battlefield game, it will be virtually impossible for the next game to be worse than what we got with Battlefield 2042. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I 100% agree with this person's take, and I stand by that. I do definitely agree with almost all aspects of this person's take, if not all aspects, particularly with it will be virtually impossible for the next game to be worse. I do agree with that. I think it would be almost a more impressive feat if the next Battlefield game released and it was worse than Battlefield 2042. And that is simply because I think some people don't truly understand how bad 2042 is when you look at all of the separate aspects of the game, right? And that's totally understandable, because I think a lot of people that played 2042, just as a lot of people that play a lot of games, maybe it's their first Battlefield game and they don't understand why, say, the maps are so bad. Or maybe they don't get why the gunplay is so bad. Maybe they don't understand why the atmosphere is so bad, etc., etc. But in general, I do think this Redditor statement is definitely true. No matter how much DICE does, it's not going to bring this game back, because the initial product was so far gone from what people were expecting from a Battlefield game that you have BattleBit out, a game made by 3 people that costs $15, and that game is, breaking concurrent player records about every day at this point, because it gave the community what they wanted, and Battlefield didn't give us anything in 2042 that we wanted. They didn't give anything. Battlefield isn't a 128 player experience. Battlefield isn't supposed to have specialists. Battlefield isn't supposed to have laser beam gunplay. Battlefield is supposed to have a better atmosphere than what 2042 provides. Battlefield is supposed to have squad management and a proper UI, something that 2042 did not offer at launch, and some would still argue that it still doesn't offer even to this day, even with the improvements. So overall, you could really say that Battlefield 2042, when it released, was barely a Battlefield game at all. And yes, with the past few seasons, I'd say maybe starting in Season 2, you can clearly see that DICE pulled their heads out of their asses slightly, and their priorities are more grounded with what Battlefield players would want. They're, reworking the gunplay, and they're reworking some of the maps. They're making the newer maps they added to the game more, akin to maps that we've played previously. Perfect example is Reclaimed with Zavod, right? But even with all of that stuff, even with all the shift in competency and the priority changes and all that, it's still just not enough, because I still see to this day people on Reddit or even on Twitter saying that they're already bored with Battlefield 2042 Season 5. It's simply not enough. The new content, although better centered to what players actually want, is still just unbelievably lacking. one map is not going to tide people over. 3 new weapons is not going to tide people over. And I want to say that goes without saying, but, you know, I do feel the need to actually say that because I do see some people, you know, saying Battlefield 2042 is, you know, the greatest FPS out right now and all this stuff. I've said this before in previous videos, but Battlefield 1 had a DLC that added 6 maps into the game. Okay? Like, that is what we want from a Battlefield game. We don't need a full season delivering us 1 new map. And even though we haven't heard anything about the new Battlefield game, except for the fact that we know it's being made, I don't think that the next Battlefield game will be as bad as 2042. I think the next Battlefield game, we will see perhaps a slight resurgence of the Battlefield franchise, because at this point, the bar really can't get any lower. And you could say in the comment section, oh, we've said this all the time with all these other previous games. Well, the bar realistically could have gotten lower with those games. With 2042, I really feel like this is complete and utter, you know, rock bottom tier sort of shit. And even within 2042 itself, you could see DICE's priorities have shifted, and like I said previously, they're basically just doing different things that people actually want to see them do. And I think they will carry that over into the next game, regardless of which developer studio is making that game. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am sort of calling it right now that the next Battlefield game will be better than 2042, but even then, that's not really saying much because it's not exactly difficult to make a better game than 2042. So, unfortunately, like with all these things, we will just have to wait and see what happens. I personally would like to see them take a fairly safe approach with the next Battlefield game. Just deliver the players what they've been asking for. And I know a lot of different players have been asking for a lot of different things, but they obviously are going to have their plan. I just hope their plan is a little bit better informed this time around. Maybe, I don't know, don't make the game a Battle Royale game and then change it into a Battlefield game. That would probably be an extremely good start. So, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and, of course, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching to this point if you did. And if you did watch to this point, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section, especially on this video, because I think this video is a bit more of an important topic. Thank you guys so much again for 47,000 subscribers, and I will see you guys in the next one.